we're going to go in order. So we've got the container, lithium. We've got indium, the next stage of that evolution, which is the translator. Now we've brought in gold, which is the reflective capability and superconductor, right? So imagine that image with me. And now all of a sudden we're able to start to touch time. But we can't do it yet, right? Because without authority, it's very hard to stay stable in the stream of time. So copper in the body is the general of the body. It is the most important element in our body that we don't get very much of anymore. And the things, in fact, most of our things in our world are destroying copper. So what greatness could it be if the sunlight could teach you how to make copper? What would you need to consume anymore? Or would you be able to finally have the general? I look at copper as the God molecule. I think it is one of the most important things that we have. But again, copper to me is the authority, because if you have the right amount of copper, your entire system comes in alignment. And this is proven through mineralogy. Like when you look at the anatomy of the body, and there's an entire video on this with me and Morley where he goes into it, but ultimately, copper is that general. It's that thing that helps us to regulate our system. Well, if you're going to start to go into infinite time, which uses infinite resources as you stream, you're going to need some kind of authority and support, something greater than you, to help you to have focus. And that's where grounded comes in. Nature is our guide, right? In the physical. But in the non-physical, in the in-between space and time in our bodies, right? That's copper. And that's been proven multiple times over. Nature is powerful. It's amazing. And it's a physical representation of what is possible. So now we get into a very unique concept called the microcosm and the macrocosm. Whereas copper, I would argue, would be more of a macrocosm perspective of nature itself. Microcosm would be like trees and wood and all those other things. There's a reason that when you put copper into a tree, it can kill it. That's actually the quickest way to kill a tree. You just nail a copper nail directly into it, the tree will die. Because they're 2 points of the spectrum. But we are designed to live in the between of that spectrum. And so to be the middle ground of those two worlds is to be the steward of nature, which is what we're here to be. And in order to do that, we have to understand our role and our authority. And that means having our system in the right governance. Our system. And the only way to do that is through silence and then coming back into the authority within ourselves. And that's what copper does. It helps us to ground that authority of ourselves back in and start to take responsibility. So if silence is golden, the whole purpose of copper is to remove the fear and the insecurity that keeps us from being the leader that we are. The whole purpose of why I created it was to help me with my autism. Because I knew that I was moving too fast for this world and I couldn't figure out how to communicate. I couldn't figure out how to express properly. I was just like, ah. And so what I learned is that the grounded was the key ingredient to me being more stable inside of time so that I could actually begin to come into space. And that space is what actually gave me permission to start to look at matter.